Greetings, Watford fans. Omar Moore here with the Orns 10-minute plus take on Leicester City 4, Watford 2. Well, there's not really a whole lot to go over, is there? And it's only a crazy game. It's only a game in the snow. It's only a game where we had a penalty for the second week running. It's only a game where defensive lapses cost us dearly, including one appalling defensive lapse by William Troost-Ekong. I mean, what is the talk about? Watford FC today played very well for the most part. I think the positives to take out of the game are that Watford were forward thinking, their mentality was confident and right, and it was aggressive on the front foot. It was a team that defended, I think, early on quite well. I think defensively, going forward, rather, they were very good going forward. I thought going forward they were confident and they had an abundance of purpose and pace. Looked dangerous, looked lively, looked threatening, looked like a team that was on a mission after the 4-1 victory over Manchester United last week at the Vic. So there was plenty that was being built upon and plenty of opportunities to build on what we did last week. But unfortunately, all of that came undone with a horrible error by William Troost-Ekong in the Watford defense. And to duck out of the way of a ball is really unforgivable. When no one else is in the area, when no one else is in your area, the first thing you do in football when you do that is you clear that ball. I don't care what you have to do. You either hoof it up pitch, upfield, you kick it out into touch, or if you can, and you never really do this either. When a goal kick is taken, you try to pass it back to your goalkeeper, but you really shouldn't be doing that in that position anyway. What you want to do with the ball in front of you is to control the ball and kick it into touch or hoof it up the pitch. Those are the things that William Troost-Ekong could have done, but what he chose to do is that the ball bounce over him. And of course, when he's doing that, he is absolutely blind to his right side and the fact that James Maddison has run in for Leicester and said, "Thank you very much indeed. Here's my early Christmas present. Leicester City lead 1-0." And so that is a massive play in the game that Watford were on top in. Watford were in control of. Watford were exploiting Leicester. Watford pressed the ball very well early on in the game. I thought that was really good. The ball retention for Watford was good, as you knew. And as I said in the Friday Focus, Watford were going to have the lion's share of the possession in this game for the most part. They were going to, because of what Leicester do and do very well, particularly at home, is counter attack. They are a very good counter attacking team. So their MO is to allow the opponent at the King Power Stadium to have all the possession in the world, waiting for them to lose the ball and pick them off and then score on the counter. That is Leicester's bread and butter. I think everybody knows it. You don't have to be a Watford fan to know it. You don't have to be a Leicester fan to know it. That is what Leicester does and does very well. And the fact that we gave them that gift from Troost-Ekong, the early Christmas present, is all the more glaring and all the more shocking and frustrating because this is a Watford side who defended well last week against Manchester United, controlled that game and put their defensive stamp on the game. And just when Ranieri was building a foundation with defense, just when Ranieri was building cohesion and balance between the three sections of the pitch, just when Ranieri was giving this team a jolt of confidence, a jolt of go forward, never give up on the game, never give up on the ball, just when all that was happening, you have this mistake from Troost-Ekong that really upset the apple cart and turned things upside down in this game. And even though Watford got an equalizer from Josh King from the penalty spot, and then now it's like buses now. Watford to get penalties like it's waiting for buses. You know how that goes. You know, you wait an hour for a bus, and then all of a sudden, 5 of them come along at once. And now we waited 11 games and no penalties for us. And then all of a sudden, game last week, get 2 penalties, 2 chances at a penalty, and we didn't get anything there. And then the game today, we get a penalty, and this time, Josh King converts. As Josh King, 1-for-1 from the penalty spot, his 5th Watford goal this season. And it's really good to see him getting in and amongst the goals. Josh King made himself very useful once again. But it was Emmanuel Dennis who made himself even more useful in this game. He got himself a goal as well. I think that's his 5th of the season for Watford in the Premier League. And he proves to be, I think, now the most consistent player on Watford. I think Emmanuel Dennis gives you 110%. He will chase down every lost cause. He will scrap, he will scrape. He's got a little physicality in him, he's got a little devil in him. He goes forward. He likes his football. You can see he's very confident. He's a showman. Emmanuel Dennis does it all. He's a great entertainer on the pitch. He's a really good, skilled footballer, and he has a really good awareness of the pace of the ball and the way that defenders are trying to come at him. He's got a little bit of improvisation in him. He's got good passing techniques. He finds his open man. He does everything. I mean, and the fact that he went off injured today is a massive loss for Watford. Now, I don't know if Watford are going to be very cagey yet again with injuries, because one of the sources of my frustration is that Watford delay the obvious. I mean, we all know that Sarr was injured last week. I mean, I saw him walking, but as I said, I saw him walking when the game was over last week against United. But just because he's walking doesn't mean he's not injured or he's not hurt. And clearly, he was hurt. We'd known it for days that he was obviously injured. It was a knee injury of some kind, and Kulu was. I don't know why it took Watford 4 or 5 days to let us know that they would not be available for Leicester. I mean, Leicester knew that they were not going to play. I mean, I don't know what that was about. I really don't. And it will really be interesting to see how long it takes for Watford to let us all know what we already know, is that Dennis is injured and that he may not be available for the game against Chelsea next weekend. I mean, how long is that going to take Watford to tell us? I don't know. Will it be Wednesday? Will it be Monday? Will it be Tuesday? Will it be Thursday, Friday? I mean, will we know game time that they're not playing? I mean, will it be until Ranieri unveils the lineup an hour before kickoff? I mean, who knows? I mean, again, Watford FC, the club I love, for some reason is delaying the obvious. Tell us that these lads are injured and that they're going to miss X amount of weeks. But please do not hold Watford fans in suspense about the state of injuries. We already know that these players are hurt. And Kulu, who knows when he'll come back? We don't know when Sar's going to come back yet. They've been very cagey about all this, and that tells me that they're going to probably be out for a prolonged period of time. So that's my little mini rant at at the club that I love, because I think that we can do better with this. The fans are not stupid. We're not stupid as fans. Fans know. I mean, fans know when the game is up and when things are happening. We're not silly, Please tell us, communicate with us as fans, as Watford fans. Communicate with us better. We want that. So that's my little rant at Watford FC. I love you. I love you. I love Watford. Have for many decades, and since I was young, I followed them. But there's sometimes that the club needs to be criticized sometimes when they're not doing things the way that they should be, and not doing things that we as Watford fans aren't happy about. So that's my little mini rant. But I want to get back to this game because Watford still, despite going into the half down 3-1, shocking defending again on this third Leicester goal and Vardy's second. And Vardy had scored the second Leicester goal, a really good one, actually. I can't really fault the defending too much for that. It was just an acute angle from the right side of the pitch and the left side, his left and Bachmann's right, and he curled the ball in. It was really well taken, quite frankly. So I can't fault them there for that. But the goal that really hurts is that third goal just before the half, And it's annoying that Leicester took the lead again after King got his penalty at 1-1 to make it 1-1 rather. And then 3 minutes later, you give that away. 4 minutes later, you give that away and make it 2-1. And then the goal that really hurt us, as well as the first goal, was the third one, was that third goal that I think really took something out of us going into the half. If we'd come into the half down only 2-1, I think it sets up a much, much more robust second half. But unfortunately, off of a set piece, it's the first set piece goal we've conceded since the Arsenal match 3 Sundays ago. And it's just frustrating to see this. Off the header, back header, it's a difficult one to defend, but I'm sorry, there's no Watford back post defender. That is unforgivable. You've got to have a back post defender there for Watford. You've got to, especially off of a corner like that. No one at the back post, really? That is not what Claudio Ranieri taught them, I'm sure. And he's going to be drilling them defensively all week, because that is schoolboy defending there. You cannot leave that back post open, not off of a corner. I mean, that's unforgivable. Off of a corner kick, You can't leave the back post open, but they did. Messina got there too late, ball in the back of the net, 3-1. That was another killer blow. The first and third goals in this game were absolutely massive hammer blows to Watford. They really were. It really cost them. I don't even think the second goal that Leicester scored was a rough one, even though it was 4 minutes after we had equalized. The hammer blow was the first goal and the third, because Watford were so good in the game, had dominated possession, had disrupted Leicester. Leicester looked short of confidence in the game. Leicester still looked very fragile, even though they won this game going away. We beat ourselves today. I mean, Leicester did do what they had to do, and you give them credit for that. You can't pretend that Leicester didn't score 4 goals. They did, so they get the credit there, and their fan base, I'm sure, will be lauding them for finally getting a Premier League win, the first in their last 3 at the King Power, if memory serves me right. But the larger story here from the Watford perspective is that Watford FC on the pitch defeated themselves today. We sabotaged our own game plan today. And that's the sad thing. We sabotaged ourselves. We had a golden opportunity to win this game. This game was there to be won, even when we were down 2-1. I dare say, even at 3-1, when Dennis scoring in the second half made it 3-2, we had several chances, even before Dennis scored that goal to make it 3-2. You know, Cucho Hernandez had an opportunity. I don't know what he was thinking. He took so long on the ball and he was running at the goal. If you're going to take that long before you pass it to Josh King, for heaven's sakes, could you please take a shot? I mean, the conditions were horrible anyway. The snow was all over the place. The snow was all over the place on the pitch, and it was everywhere. And for Cucho Hernandez to take that long to pass it to a man who'd already scored your goal, Josh King would have made no mistake from there. And for me, that was a massive one as well, that we didn't take enough of our chances. We undid ourselves today. We sabotaged ourselves today. We sabotaged ourselves defensively, and we sabotaged ourselves going forward by missing some key opportunities and not moving the ball quickly enough at the most decisive moments of these games, of this particular game. You cannot take a delay of a chance in these games on the road in the Premier League. You only get so many chances. And in fact, Watford created so many of them. I mean, it was Cucho in the first half who hit the bar. It was Dennis in the first half who had a really good striker goal. I mean, there were chances aplomb for Watford, and they did not put them in the back of the net. And the fact that they scored only 2 of those chances tells you that it's not a really fair reflection of this game. If you look up at that scoreboard and see what you see, 4-2, not a fair reflection if you'd watched this game. There's no way Watford should have shipped 4 goals today. But again, it's down to that defense. The defense really was the biggest problem that we had today. And our defending needs to get a whole lot better. William Troost-Ekong, not cut out for the Premier League. That's just a harsh fact. We have to be honest with ourselves. And the Watford board have to be honest. And they have to start making some really hard decisions over these next few weeks. Because I think his position in that central defense should be very much considered and up for consideration. Because I think now, once you get Nkulu back and once you get Sirialta back, you've got to make those 2 your defensive pairing. And because I think Cathcart, although he didn't hurt himself today, I think Cathcart's got to be given a sit down, and I think that he should be coming in toward the ends of these games. But the way that the Watford game has been played this season, generally speaking, you probably need a veteran in there anyway. But the fact is that all of this conjecture right now by me highlights the fact that we don't have any solid defending, and we don't have enough of a defensive fortification behind these defenders, so that if one of them goes down injured, as in Kulu did last week, who do we have to bring into the fold that we've got confidence in, who is going to be competent enough to defend in the Premier League? I don't think Cathcart is your answer. I think he should be coming off the bench in these games, but because we've got no defenders and we didn't do enough to invest before the season began, we've got to keep Cathcart in there. It's got to be a foundation for now until we get defenders in January. And the Watford board now has got to realize that defending is the priority. I don't want to hear the technical director telling us, well, we have to do this on all ends of the pitch. We'll be looking at all ends of the pitch in January. No, no, and no. The midfield is okay. The midfield, I think, is okay. I don't think we need any more reinforcements there. We've got plenty of players. Gosling's not getting a look in, Cleverly, he's playing. Tufan, he's playing. Lauza, he's been good. He's playing. Sissoko has been silk. He's been silky. He's been terrific. He's playing. Kuchka didn't play. He had a knock. So the midfield is not the problem here. The forward line is not the problem. The only problem now is we've got injuries in the front line, in the forward line. We've got injuries, and you're going to have injuries during a season. And now you're going to look at Ashley Fletcher now starting some of these games because God knows how long Dennis is going to be out for. If it's just a knock, if it's just he's going to be out for a week, he'll be out for next week's game against Chelsea. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but we really should know very shortly and not wait until Thursday before we get a sense of what on earth's going on with our players. We've got to know, and we'll see. We'll see what happens with Dennis. But we are very thin in the back, very thin indeed. And the board will have to act. And we cannot be in denial about where the problems are in this team. The problem is in defense. And this is a shame because I thought and you thought that the foundation was being built, and it still is being built. But the problem is that we don't have the competent defensive personnel to build enough with. Now, yes, last week, of course, I think the defending was a lot better. Yes, it was. And Troost-Ekong came into the game late and defended fairly well. But it was Nkulu, who is not even 100% match fit. He's not even match fit, and he's put in a much better performance than any other central defender that's played for Watford this season. And that is telling that you've got a veteran defender who's not played Premier League football before, to the best of my knowledge and my memory. And he's come in half fit, and he's put in a damn sight better performance than any of these other central defenders, whether it's Cathcart, whether it's Troost-Ekong, whether it's Sierralta even. But Sierralta, once he gets back, whether it's going to be next week or the week after, whether it's going to be before the end of the year, I think it's going to be a lot better. I think he's going to be an upgrade over either Troost-Ekong or Cathcart, whomever they choose to put in there. It'll be very interesting to see who Ranieri goes with next weekend. But look, our defense hurt us today. And when it was 3-2, our defending hurt us today. The fourth goal was a goal that, again, defensive lapse, and Lookman just tapped that ball in. It was just too easy. And there was still time, even with about 20 minutes plus to go, 25 minutes left. And we still had an opportunity, plus 7 minutes of injury time. And we still couldn't find a third goal. Tufan should have scored. He missed a golden opportunity, stretched out his leg, just went the other side of the post. This was an unlucky day. Match day 13 was definitely unlucky for Watford, an unlucky day indeed for Watford. But it was unlucky because we're the ones who self-inflicted it. We absolutely damaged our own cause today. And that's the lesson to be taking out of this match. And what Ranieri is going to do, I'm sure of it, during the week, is going to be giving defensive drills. It's going to be, I think, 90% defending drills, because defensive drills have to be done. I mean, you've got to have a man in the back post. You've got to have a man in the back post. I don't care what's going on in front of you. You've got to guard that back post. You cannot leave that side of your goal open on a set piece. And it's a shame because Watford have been defending these set pieces a lot better. But again, I want to repeat the positives. You had lively movement. You had a team that never gave up on the game. You had a team that was taking shots. I would have loved to seen a few more. I would have loved to seen better decision-making in the final third from Cucho. I think he should have passed that ball right away to Josh King, who had been screaming at him for about 10 seconds to pass the ball. And he waited and waited, and then he waited for the Leicester defense to come back, and then he passes it. And by then, of course, it's too late. You've got to be more decisive and more clinical in that moment. And Cucho is going to learn that in this league. You've got to be more decisive, and you should have taken the shot. If you're not going to pass it to Josh King, you're running in on goal. Take the shot. The conditions are so bad. You never know. The ball bounces on a chunk of ice. You don't know. It's been snowing all day, except for most of the first half, right? You never know what's going to happen in that moment. The ball bounces on something. Maybe there's a clump of snow. It bounces and it gets past Schmeichel. You don't know. He parries the ball in those conditions. Who knows? So you've got to take the chances. And that's the one thing Watford did in some cases, but didn't in others. In the second half, they didn't take enough chances. And Josh King would have buried that shot in the back of the net had it been given to him, the ball been given to him. But you can't allow that much time. You can't allow that much time before you take the shot because the defenders are going to catch up with you, especially when you're the road team. So, look, overall, the positive mentality was there. The ball pressure was there. The retention of the ball was there for Watford. I think they did that very well in the first half. Second half, slightly not quite as good. But the problem is when you give up a 3 goals to 1 lead, you're always going to be on the back foot. And even though Watford continued to press, it was a bridge too far. And I think this is a very frustrating result because Watford played very well for the most part in the first half. I think they played well overall. But again, that old devil called defending came back to bite us. This has been the Orns 10-minute plus take.